to another AAA Northeast online webinar. I am Robert Sinclair Jr., Senior Manager of Public Affairs for AAA Northeast, and we thank you so much for joining us today. You know, New York City is known by a lot of nicknames: Fun City, the Big Apple, Crossroads of the world. And that last name recognizes New York as the center of many important aspects of modern life, including fashion, finance, art, architecture, media, real estate, international diplomacy. As the crossroads of the world, New York City is also one of the world's most popular tourist destinations. Consider just a small list of what you can do here. We have world-class museums, Central Park. You can tour some of our skyscrapers. You can go into the Empire State Building, the World Trade Center, and 40 Rock. You can stroll across bridges like the Brooklyn Bridge and Manhattan Bridge and Queensboro Bridge, RFK Bridge, George Washington Bridge, and get spectacular views of the city. There's the High Line, Grand Central Terminal, the Staten Island Ferry, Ellis Island, the Opera, many, many more. But in the middle of the COVID, what is there to do? Are we still a very popular tourist destination? We've got the perfect person to answer that question with us today. His name is Christopher Heywood. He's the Executive Vice President of Global Communications for NYC and Company. Anyone old enough might remember it as the New York City Convention and Visitors Bureau. And Chris, we thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us today, Robert. We really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And also, if someone visiting New York happens to be a AAA member, we have Michael Ziegler, who is Director of Strategic Partnerships for AAA Northeast, to tell us about the numerous discounts and programs available to members when they are here visiting New York City. Michael, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Robert. I look forward to talking to the viewers about all the great ways of visiting New York as a AAA member.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing from you. Chris, we'll start with you. We know that Times Square is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world, but things have fallen off a little bit, and I know you have an initiative for the Midtown area, I believe, about what's going on there, because not only is Times Square, but we have Broadway theaters in that area and lots of other things, restaurants and what have you. So what's the initiative that you have going for Midtown Manhattan?
So thank you, Robert. We are just so excited to put a spotlight on this very famous area of the world. It's Times Square. It's the crossroads of the world. And I like to call it the heartbeat of New York City. And we are showcasing all the great things that you can see and do in this great area, everything from our hotel product to our great dining options, public art, shopping availabilities, tours, you name it. It's a really great area, very accessible by car and also public transportation. It is really, you know, the hub of New York City. And frankly, it needs a little love right now. We really need people to come and support this area and really help us revitalize the crossroads of the world. It typically is the place where you see, you know, hundreds of thousands of people converging. And right now it's a little quieter than normal. So we thought that we would do our part to highlight this area as the latest staycation guide for our city and also Midtown in general. So it's really important. So I look forward to talking more about everything that we're doing today, but certainly thank you for spotlighting that particular area because it's so important.
You know, you mentioned a couple of things there I had not thought of. Shopping and tours, those things still go on. And so certainly it still remains very popular. But, you know, I'll throw it back to you again, Chris, because I understand that you have a lot to tell us about. And we love pictures and videos and what have you. And you have a presentation that contains all of that. So why don't you get started with that and tell us about all that's going on?
Well, thank you so much, Robert, again, and thank you everyone who is on this webinar and for your support of New York City now more than ever. We just so appreciate it, and frankly, we need it. And this global pandemic has had a tremendous impact on all of us, and it continues to ebb and flow and evolve as time goes on, but New York City is still here. It is still alive and still well. So I look forward to taking you through a little deck today, and hopefully I won't bore you. But again, I just want to thank you for your participation. And the title of this presentation is Rediscovering New York City. So even if you are someone who thinks you know New York, you might not. New York has introduced so many new opportunities in the last several years. So it might be good timing to reacquaint yourself safely with our destination. But just to acquaint you on who we are the city's official destination marketing organization and convention and visitors bureau. We're called NYC and Company. We've been around since the 1930s, and our mission is really to maximize the travel and tourism opportunities throughout the entire city, every corner of the city, all 5 boroughs. And I like to test people right out of the gate and ask them if they can rattle off all 5 boroughs. So, you know, we're not just Midtown Manhattan or Times Square, but we're Manhattan, we're the Bronx, we're Queens, we're Brooklyn, and we're Staten Island. And I give people gold stars if they can reference all of those boroughs. So our job is really to stimulate opportunities throughout every corner of the city. And
can we give an extra gold star if they know the county names of the boroughs?
Absolutely. And if they can give me 20 neighborhoods, maybe I'll give them even more gold stars. So this is a fact-finding mission for all of you to really reacquaint yourself with what makes New York, New York. And I will just give a little shameless call out to our own website, nycgo.com. That is the official tourism website for New York City. And right now, I'll also add that we are the organization really spearheading the tourism recovery efforts for the city. And it's a big mission to really preserve one of the city's most important industries, an industry that employs 403,000 people, normally generates over 70 billion in economic impact, and last year welcomed 66.6 million visitors, an all-time high in the 10th consecutive year of growth. So obviously we are in a very different place right now. And if you go to the next slide, we'll just dig right in. But in terms of the COVID updates, you know, everyone knows that this has been a crisis that has affected everyone in all destinations around the globe. But nowhere was it felt more than in New York at the beginning of this pandemic. And we have gone through a dramatic time, and the city has changed in dramatic ways over the last several months. You know, obviously this has had a particularly strong impact on the destination. But at the same time, New York City has really displayed its utmost resilience. And we've been through tragedies in the past, 9/11, the economic recession in 2008, and the Hurricane Sandy. So we have gone through many, many tragedies in the past, but this one is obviously very, very different. But we will come back from this, and we are coming back from this, and we are resilient. And I will tell you, we have seen the best of people on display. We have seen extraordinary healthcare workers. We have seen business leaders, elected officials, people stepping up to the plate and doing all they can. And the people of New York supporting the destination has been great. And we need the New Yorkers too to really help us reconnect on an emotional level to the city. So I'm going to give you a little overview, next slide, onto what is the safety protocols here in the destination. Because the first thing is, if you are considering a trip to New York City, we really want to ensure that you are doing it in a very, very safe way. And Governor Cuomo has created a 4-phase reopening plan. And on July 20th, we entered the 4th phase of that. But as you can see here on the screen, safety is obviously our top priority. And we do have a number of restrictions in place that may be a challenge for some of you who might be considering driving into the destination. So, you know, the purpose of this call is really to acquaint you with what's going on, and maybe to encourage you to put New York on your list for the next trip, but also monitoring the safety guidelines and understanding where the quarantines, you know, which states require the quarantines, so you're understanding what's required. So there is a mandatory 14-day quarantine for people coming in from restricted states and level 2 and 3 countries. There are 45 states right now on that list. California was just added yesterday. And actually the governor also discourages non-essential travel, interstate travel to and from Massachusetts. So some of this has been added. Connecticut and New Jersey were added last week. So I just advise you to really follow the protocols if you are coming in. And if you're a New Yorker in the city, you know, this is a perfect time for you to do a staycation in the destination. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But for all updates on what's going on, we encourage you to go to ny.gov. And we encourage you to watch the news and get the latest updates, because it does change almost literally by the hour. And then if you are coming in from a state that requires a quarantine, then you are going to have to complete the New York State travel form, which is enforced by hotels. So if you're checking into a hotel, you will have to submit that health form upon check-in. Next slide. And in terms of just some of the top line updates, what we've seen over the last several months, I know many of you have been following it, so I don't need to bore you with all of the little detail, but just some of the big things, obviously, our transportation system, and many of you will be taking your cars into the city, and I want to encourage that. We have got a lot of parking garages and hotels that are offering great parking opportunities, but we do have, once you get here, the ability to move around through subway, and the subway has gone through a deep cleaning. And I will tell you, having ridden it a few times myself, it is probably the cleanest place to be in New York City right now. I mean, I have never, ever seen it cleaner. And so you can have some assurances that that you're in good hands on the subway. In June, the Terminal B opened at LaGuardia, which is our local airport, and it's going through a dramatic renovation right now, and it's going to be the first rebuild of an American airport, I think in over 25 years. I think Denver International was the last airport built. So during this pandemic, there's a bright spot with one of our airports being completely updated and some of these terminals already reopening. So when times resume, when travel resumes, you'll be very happy with that experience. And then at the end of August is really when museums and low risk attractions began reopening. And many of those are open at 25%, but you can go to MoMA and the Met, and we'll talk about some of the others in a minute. But so it's been a gradual, I like to say the recovery of New York City's tourism industry is gradual but certain. And as you can see on the screen here, September 30th is when indoor dining reopened at 25% capacity. And we also know that outdoor dining will remain permanent. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but outdoor dining has been a boom for New York City. And actually, when you think about the vibrancy of New York, you can only look to the outdoor dining establishments and everything that they've done to really make New York very attractive, more attractive than maybe it has been in the past with this new cafe culture. And then looking ahead, unfortunately, Broadway theaters will be closed until next spring. And so while we are pained to know that Broadway is delayed and many people build their trips around Broadway shows, we know two things. One, Broadway will be back. Broadway will be back. And number two, it is not a consolation prize to visit New York City without Broadway. So this is really important to consider a visit to the destination even without Broadway. Next slide. We're going to get into some of the initiatives now that NYC and Company is spearheading. And I just want to start off by talking about what we have done to stand up the industry. In the days and the weeks following the pandemic beginning, we decided to bring together the business community, the tourism industry and hospitality industry, and business leaders across all 5 boroughs to stand up a coalition for New York City hospitality and tourism recovery. With a tagline of rise, renew, and recover. And I'm pleased to say we are in the recovery mode right now. But this was really driven by our love for New York City. As you can see on the next screen, on the next slide, you can see what the coalition stands for, really reimagining the tourism industry's future. And we have put together this extraordinary roadmap with the help of many business leaders, including the American Museum of Natural History CEO, the CEO of the Studio Museum of Harlem, Union Square Hospitality Group, the Hotel Union, and even Broadway star Lin-Manuel Miranda. So we have had some great leadership, as well as a 24-person steering committee helping really steer the efforts and using innovation to really create messaging, marketing, and promotion to restore New York City's brand around the world and, of course, locally. So we are very proud of this effort, and we will continue to face some hurdles and some speed bumps along the way, as everyone is right now. But you can be assured that we are mobilizing to ensure the safety of visitors to New York and also to preserve and restore the future of our industry. Next slide. And so at the core of that, as I have said to you, is we want you to stay well and be well in New York City. And so we are asking for visitors that are coming into the destination to follow, use good common sense, follow the CDC guidelines. In fact, we have a little hashtag that we're using called Mask Up NYC. So we want you to mask up. We want you to wash hands, socially distance, stay home if you're sick, use hand sanitizer, all of those things. In return for that, our businesses are going to pledge to do the same thing. They're going to make sure that they are cleaning and sanitizing, and that their employees are wearing masks, and they're doing all the same things and limiting capacities and so forth. And this is all geared towards very much a safety first mission. So I think that's really important to just to say. And more information can be found on our website. Now let's get to the fun stuff, because you've heard enough of this corporate stuff, right? So let's dig in a little bit, and let me give you some highlights of New York City, the destination.
All right, here we go.
All right, Robert, this is the fun stuff. This is the
Okay.
fun stuff. So yes, New York City is open for business. I did ask you to look at the guidelines and the restrictions and keep those in mind, but we do have the official tourism website for New York, nycgo.com. It's a great resource, especially during this time. And we do have filters and information to really give you an overview of what's open in the city. And I will now take you through a few of those opportunities. And I'm going to try to entice you to either plan a trip to New York City, or see your backyard if you're in the New York City area, or plan a future travel, a trip, because we do need your support now. So next slide will show you some of the iconic attractions we have in the city. The Statue of Liberty, the monument itself is not open, but the Liberty Island is open, and so is the brand new Statue of Liberty Museum, which I encourage you to see. As are many of our observation decks. There you see on the right side of the screen there are the Empire State Building, as Robert mentioned at the beginning of his presentation, and Top of the Rock, which is wonderful views of Central Park and the Empire State Building, and of course the Edge over in Hudson Yards, which I'll get to in a little bit. And this Sunday, way in the distance in that photo, you'll see the One World Observatory, which is the tallest building in the Western Hemisphere, and they will reopen this Sunday for weekend visits. So you can go to the One World Observatory. All of these observatories have different experiences, different vantage points, so don't limit yourself to one. And if you've seen one, maybe try another. And even the Empire State Building has been completely reimagined. So even icons that you may have known, oh, I've been there, I've done that. Well, no, you haven't, because you haven't seen the updates. You haven't seen maybe the Statue of Liberty Museum. You haven't seen the newly imagined Empire State Building Observatory. So these are important. Next slide, MoMA. MoMA is also reimagined and just recently expanded by 30%. I don't know about you, but I think it's perfect now to go see a Starry Night, as this lady is, as this young kid is doing in the picture. But we want to encourage that, and they have the Donald Judd exhibit right now going on. He's a great sculptor, so that will be on through January, and that's in Midtown. Robert, you mentioned what to do in Midtown, and MoMA should be on the list for sure. And then on the right is the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Tomorrow, actually, they're going to open up the About Time Fashion and Duration, which is the Costume Institute's long anticipated exhibition that was postponed. So that will be opening tomorrow through February 7th. And also the museum is celebrating 150th anniversary. All of these museums and attractions require pre-time ticketing. So go to their websites, plan ahead. It's really important to do that. And the museums and attractions are at about 25% occupancy right now. So you're gonna have a different experience. It's gonna be probably more pleasant, but the museums appreciate your support during this time.
You know, I was thinking that, Chris, that with the capacity restrictions, that you'll have a lot of the place to yourself, so it actually might be a lot nicer than usual.
Absolutely, Robert, and I'll get into some of the deals we're offering, but it's not only value for money in terms of the great deals you can get across the city, and especially with hotels if you're staying overnight, but also value for experience in terms of getting a richer experience, not fighting the crowd. So if you're a local.
I was going to ask that, if you have reservations ahead of time so you don't have to stand in line.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You should do that, and that way you can do more in a shorter period of time and get more for your money, so to speak. So next slide, new neighborhoods. We even have new neighborhoods in New York City. And I know people will be shaking their head saying, what do you mean there's a new neighborhood? But on the far west side of Manhattan, Hudson Yards opened, and that was in March of 2019, and is a mixed use development. And as you can see here on the left, this past March, just before the pandemic, the Edge at Hudson Yards opened, and that is the highest outdoor sky deck in the Western Hemisphere. And you can see a little triangle there on the ground, and you can look straight down. I couldn't do it. I did it. I kind of hopped on it and hopped right off, and had somebody grab my hand because I was really scared to look down. But if you like thrills, you can stand on that glass triangle and look straight down and see the ground beneath you. And then to the right is one of my very favorite new offerings in New York City. This is a beautiful sculpture. It's called the Vessel, but it's a climbable sculpture. And it has 154 flights of stairs, 2,500 steps, 80 landings. It was designed by Thomas Heatherwick, the famous architect, and it's a great way to get your exercise and to see the city. I say my understanding is it's the most Instagrammable new icon of New York. So you want the bragging rights on your Instagram page, so make sure you go there.
Guaranteed to help you run off those extra 15 pounds we've all gained as well. 2,500 steps.
Yes, sir, and I need to do it myself. You just reminded me, but yes. And you're outside.
Strong just thinking about it.
So, it's outdoors, and pre-time ticketing is the name of the game there. Speaking of free and outdoor, which the Vessel is not free, but outdoor it is, but the High Line is free. And this is the 1.5 mile elevated railway in the sky. It was an abandoned rail yard that was turned into this park, and it's my very favorite attraction. I know I'm not allowed to have a favorite in New York, but if you asked me what was my favorite, I would say this is at the top of the list. But it's just a great place to go. And right now with pre-time ticketing, you can have it to yourself. Normally there are just crowds and crowds of people. So there's also public art throughout the park, throughout the High Line, and it runs from the Whitney Museum in the Meatpacking District all the way up to Hudson Yards. So it's a nice meandering walkway along the west side. And then over on the right side of your screen, you see the Bronx Zoo, which I think is a tremendous opportunity for families and kids. They do require date-specific ticketing, and they have Boo at the Zoo until this weekend, Halloween activity. And then on November 20th, they'll start the holiday lights, where you can go see 5 lantern safaris. And the Bronx Zoo is 265 acres, 8,000 animals. So in a great way to go, you can socially distance. And I like to call the Bronx the wild green Bronx. And this is a great place to go. Have lunch on Arthur Avenue, the real Little Italy. Go over to the Botanical Garden nearby. I mean, you can really make a day of it. Next slide is all about dining, and I talked a little bit about this. All of our restaurants have been permanently allowed to do outdoor dining, and they'll be bringing in heaters and building enclosures and so forth. And it really has created a newfound vibrancy in the city of New York. Indoor dining is 25% capacity, and we'll see what happens with that as it develops. But our restaurant scene is so crucial. It's a backbone of our tourism industry. So we encourage you to support local eateries, and you can see some of the restaurants there on the screen. Flatiron District is doing a special all-in nomad dining program, so look at what they've got there in the Flatiron. And then shopping. You can't come to New York without shopping, and all of our department stores are open. You can see here the Empire Outlets on the left side, which is New York City's newest shopping outlet destination, newest and only shopping outlet destination. And you can pick up the free Staten Island ferry from Lower Manhattan and take it over, or if you wish, you could drive right into Staten Island in your car and park right at the Empire Outlets and do shopping. And what's great about this is it's 350,000 square feet of open air. The shops are outside, it's an open air shopping facility. And you can have lunch. They just opened a Shake Shack there, and it's right on the waterfront, right near the ferry, Staten Island Ferry in St. George, and with great views of the city. So it's a really nice place to go to get some great offers.
Is it walkable from the ferry?
It certainly is, yes. It's
okay.
literally right there.
Very good.
Literally right there. Yeah.
So, and the ferry, of course, is still open, and the ferry remains free.
Free, right. And so that's another thing, free. there's a lot of free opportunity in New York. And it's a 25-minute ride from Lower Manhattan over to St. George, and then it's like a 5 to 10-minute walk right to the outlets. It's a very easy walk. It's literally adjacent. And Bloomingdale, Soho, of course, nice department store in Soho. They also have the one in Midtown, Macy's, Saks Fifth Avenue, Nordstrom. All of these are great. And Hudson Yards also has extraordinary indoor shopping. And then over to hotels, I did a count of the ones on our website. There's about 164 hotels that are members of NYC & Company that are currently open, and you can browse them on our website. But many of the hotels you can see here are just a couple samplings. JW Marriott Essex House on Central Park, Conrad New York Downtown in Lower Manhattan. These are just some of the ones that are open. One of my favorites, the Equinox Hotel over by the Vessel and Hudson Yards. It's a new brand by Equinox Fitness Clubs, and it's all about wellness and fitness, and it's super luxury. So if you want to splurge, you can do that. And Hotel 50 Bowery, you can see the William Bale over in Brooklyn. They're doing an ice skating rink on their roof this winter. And despite the pandemic, Robert, I think we have a lot of confidence in New York's future, because during the pandemic, we've even seen a hotel open. So in September, the Rockaway Hotel opened at the Rockaways in Queens, and that's our surfing beach. And it's a beautiful luxury hotel right in the Rockaway section of Queens. And who knew that you could surf in New York? I know maybe not during the well, you can in the fall and winter just as much as you can, but obviously the summer months are ideal.
All you need is a big heart.
Yeah, and that's the thing about New York. There's a lot of hidden gems and hidden activities. So now going on to the fun part, one of the things we want to ask all of you to do by being on this webinar is to commit to being all in for New York City and really help us by supporting our destination, helping us revitalize it. If you're putting up imagery of the city on social media, tag it with All in NYC. But this is NYC & Company's revitalization effort to really get New York back on its feet. And we're calling on New Yorkers to help us recreate the vibrancy, reconnect emotionally with their city, and spend some money, support small business, support the iconic attractions as well, and be all in for everything in New York. It's also a double entendre because it also communicates that everything is in New York City. It's all here. It's all in New York City. And to set the tone for that, I'd now like to show you a quick video that communicates that sentiment.
Roll 'em.
Hopefully that gives you a sense of what this is. It's all about the immutable spirit of New York City, and that hasn't gone away. The vibrancy, the diversity, the energy. So hopefully that convinces you to maybe want to come to the city.
You're a mind reader, Chris, because I was going to ask about the so-called outer boroughs, and certainly I recognized some places there from Queens, and Queens is the most diverse county in the United States of America, and along with it comes lots of restaurants from different ethnic groups and different types of food. And trust me, as a resident of Queens and driving around in Queens, they're doing a lot of outdoor dining, and so you can still take advantage of those things. And I see you've got some pathways here, neighborhood getaways that I guess explore just that sort of thing, getting out to the so-called outer boroughs. Oh, and I wanted to mention the county names. The county name for Brooklyn is Kings. The county name for Manhattan is New York. And $5 to anybody to tell me the county name for Staten Island. Any takers?
I
Hearing
can't,
none?
but I'm not allowed to answer.
You're not allowed to answer. Okay. Well, it's Richmond.
Yes.
And I remember a test in high school that one of our social studies teachers gave us and said, if I'm going to give you $100 to go to Richmond, how would you get there? and people were jumping on Amtrak and going to Virginia and all. And I said, I take the Staten Island ferry. So
You know
yes,
what?
please.
That is the heart of what we're trying to do is, and as you talk about the vibrancy of New York, so many of our residents obviously live across all of the neighborhoods of the city. But when you go into places like Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, you get to get up close with New Yorkers. And I think that's what people are looking for, authentic experiences. So to do that, to further entice you, we have launched the most ambitious effort. And I like to say it's the year of the deal. It's also the year of the staycation, by the way, but it's the year of the deal. And we've got extraordinary deals at attractions, dining, hotels, museums, shops, and tours. We have our corporate partner MasterCard offering up to $100 off at participating businesses. You have to register your MasterCard on our website at nycgo.com, but you should look at all these different deals we have. You can get $10 back on every $20 spent on experiences and $25 back on every $100 spent on hotels for up to $100 statement credit. So we are going to be updating these deals as the time goes on, but there's about 250 offers on the website. And like I said earlier, some of these are park and play packages. So if you are driving into the city, please consider staying overnight. Our hotels need your business. And I will tell you, the name of the game right now for hotels is cleanliness, cleanliness, cleanliness. There's probably no cleaner place to be right now besides the subway to be in a New York hotel. So they really are priding themselves on doing a great job, with the cleanliness standards, and you can have a sense of confidence there. In terms of staycation guides, next slide, you will see that we are showcasing, as Robert said, all the different neighborhoods of New York City and also different themes. And we'll be doing more of this. We have the Hispanic Heritage Month. You can see where all the different neighborhoods we're showcasing. Early next year, we'll be doing something for Black History Month. So we are looking at all the different ways into the city, but I bet you when you look on this staycation guide list, there's going to be something there that you don't know about. And I challenge you to reacquaint yourself with our city, because I guarantee you don't know everything that's going on. And then I do want to, and Robert, it's so funny that you mentioned Queens, because now I have a little surprise for you.
Aha.
I think you're going to like this. So I'm sure you've all seen the movie Goodfellas, and we have a unpretentious hidden gem right in Queens, and that I want to showcase. But let me tell you what these portraits are. We have put together 10 portraits showcasing people who make New York, New York around the 5 boroughs, and they're on our YouTube channel at NYC Go. So search for the NYC Go YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see these amazing little portraits of people talking about why they're all in for New York and what they've been doing through the pandemic and what inspiration they get. And everything from Sylvia's up in Harlem to the Brooklyn Museum to Snug Harbor Cultural Center. You'll see them all. But right now I want to show you the owner, Lois and Gordon from Near's Tavern in Queens. And Robert, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's one of the oldest bars in New York, if not the country. It's over 190 years old. And it's been the backdrop for many movies, including Goodfellas. And I want to show you this because this owner really sums up, the love that we have for the city and for Queens in particular. So let's roll the portraits video, please.
Excellent.
My name is Lois and Gordon. I'm the owner of Historic Near's Tavern, one of the oldest bars in New York City and probably one of the oldest ones in the country. Goodfellas was filmed right here in this bar. Queens is where I first landed when I came from the island of Jamaica. And when I saw that one of the most oldest historic bars was going to close and it's located in my new neighborhood, I said, I have to do something. I am fortunate to have the type of people in the Woodhaven community that exist today. These are people that believe in the values of being a community member, of taking action. We tested over 200 people for the antibodies. We tested 91 people for cardiovascular health issues right in front of Near's Tavern while we were shut down. This is what it means to be resilient, and this is what it means to be all in.
Excellent. Excellent. I've been to a lot of bars, Chris, but not that one. But
Well,
trying to make it my business to get over there. And
you got to add it to your list.
yeah, got to get there. And it's the community spirit that he had with being closed down at first and doing testing. including cardiovascular. You know, it seems that a lot of people are neglecting other aspects of their health because so much attention being paid to COVID. So he did a great community service there.
That's right. And you see in these portraits just the love that people have for their own city, and people take so much pride in what they have. And this bar was saved. It was almost going to close, and it was saved. And I think that speaks to what makes New York, New York. And these authentic locations really make our city our city. And so I hope you get a chance to see that. Now down to public art. One of the things we decided to do without Broadway this year, and some of the performing arts also on pause, was really to put a spotlight on our public art offerings throughout the 5 boroughs. And so we launched a campaign called All in NYC Public Art Edition. And if you go to our website, nycgo.com/public art, you will be able to see a roster of public art offerings throughout the 5 boroughs. And many of these are free and outdoor, almost all of them, in fact. So everywhere from the Socrates Sculpture Park to the New York Historical Society, which they're doing a great exhibit about New York City under quarantine, to the Max Neuhaus sound installation in Times Square underneath the subway grate, to the Day's End by David Hammonds, which is opening at the Whitney Museum this December at the Pier 52 location. These are just some examples of the extraordinary public art that we have in the city. And we want to encourage people to support public art and emotionally reconnect with their city through it. And then for people that are reticent to come into the city, they're thinking, oh, I am not sure I want to come in right now, but I want to have that New York City experience. If you go to the next slide, you will see we are offering a whole roster of virtual New York City experiences. And you can really get about 250 experiences right from your desktop or your iPhone to really understand, you know, to be able to sample some of the great things that are going on in New York, bringing New York City to you. And we want that inspiration to be there, even if you decide you can't come in, or you want to plan that future trip, but right now you want to just feel like you're part of the city. We also are encouraging people to dine in if they so choose, and support restaurants. If you can't go out, order in if you're in the city. Also shop. You can shop the 5 boroughs without leaving home. So we have these programs. The virtual field trips you can see here too is great for families to really acquaint themselves with cultural institutions and attractions. So we have all these different ways to reconnect and connect with our travelers who can't come here right now. Obviously, internationally, the international leisure access right now is restricted for travel and for leisure visitation. So, you know, it's been very difficult for us, but we look forward to the day when we can start to welcome more people back. But in the meantime, we have this resource. And then in closing, I just want to go over just a couple of resources that we have. Please take advantage of these. nycgo.com, nycgo.com is the official tourism resource for New York. We've got a lot of special programs there. You can get to all of them from our website, and here's some of the hyperlinks. Next slide, you can see our social media, NYCGo, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. These are our consumer-facing channels. And again, we ask you to engage with our channels using the hashtag AllInNYC. I think that's really, really important. And in closing, I just want to, again, thank you for your commitment and dedication to New York City. Your support is so appreciated now more than ever. And on behalf of the Hospitality and Tourism Ministry of New York City, thank you for being all in for New York City.
I told you we had the right person. Chris, just a fantastic presentation. There's so much going on, and with the website there, nycgo.com, I have it correctly?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So there were a bunch of various slashes after that with other things going on. A lot going on, and so much of it outdoors that New York City still remains open and vibrant with lots to do, and so people need to be getting themselves ready to come here. And so, Michael, we're going to go to you. We've got AAA members that are chomping at the bit right now that want to come to New York City and do as many of all those things that Chris outlined as possible. What kind of deals are you going to be arranging for them when they come here?
Yeah, thank you so much, Robert and Chris. Thank you so much for the great job that you did. So inspirational, makes me want to jump in my car and get there as soon as I can. You know, I know that some states it's not open to everybody, but I want to get there as soon as I can. And right now, in terms of what it's all about on the travel side, is the partnership side, is it's all about inspiration and confidence. And you've done an awesome job kind of instilling that to those on the webinar today, the inspiration to want to travel to New York City, what New York City has to offer, but also the confidence for them to know that it's a safe destination, right? That you guys are doing everything you can to make sure that those travelers that visit the city are safe and the health protocols are in place, and that when they are there, they can enjoy themselves in a very safe way. You know, New York City has been one of the top destinations in the world, and our travelers here at AAA have traveled all over the world, and so much has changed over the last few months, last 6-7 months, especially for New York City. And then, although we have the ability to send our travelers all over the world, our drive markets here for us in the AAA Northeast have really started to grow. And New York City is one of those partners that we're starting to, as AAA Northeast, work more closely with, Chris, and really helping to build our relationship with some of those top drive markets. You know, we're trying to find ways, to your point, Robert, ways that we can put together travel deals and special offers for our members and those that book travel through AAA to experience the city in the right way. And what we really are focusing on now is we understand on the travel side of things that the decision to travel is a very personal one. And we want the people to know that the timing might not be right for you now. Inspiration is all about what you might be all about. But when the timing is right, you know, we here at AAA are there for you. Although it's not open to everyone in our footprint, all the states that we cover throughout AAA Northeast, we want to know that those that are in the city, I hope a lot of people that are in the city and the surrounding area are on this webinar today, that there's a lot going on still. You know, even if it's a quick night out, dinner out with the family, you have that ability to use your AAA membership at the local restaurants to save money at the local restaurants, or use it at some of the local attractions to save money on some of those local attraction tickets. But those that are in the city, we want you, those that are comfortable and looking to experience the city, we want you to know that AAA is there with you every step of the way. But those that are outside of the city or not able to necessarily visit right now, AAA is there for those travelers as well, to let you know that it's okay to look, it's okay to book. Right now, we're encouraging our members to look and book, right? We want them to know that although I'm looking today and I'm looking at where my family and I want to go on vacation, maybe the beginning to the middle of next year, even if it's a long weekend, New York City is a great destination for people to look at now and start booking for the future. We're finding ways within AAA to grow our partnership, to bring in products, to partner with some of the beautiful hotels that New York City has to offer, and bring travel deals for our members for when they're ready to go when Broadway opens back up, to have travel deals that include tickets to the Broadway shows, and really see the everything that New York City has to offer. And also to bring information and education like this webinar that we're putting together, to teach our members and to teach our travel agents about all the things that are going on at AAA. And if Chris has inspired you as much as he's inspired me, I'm sure that there's many things that you want to learn more about. But first, I want to touch a little bit on our travel team. Our travel team here at AAA Northeast consists of agents all over our footprint. Many agents in New York City and Long Island and New Jersey, throughout our entire footprint. There are many ways to work with AAA to plan your perfect vacation to AAA, to New York City, regardless of what you're looking to do, whether it's a long weekend or it's just a quick night out in the city. Our team at AAA has taken this opportunity during the downturn to really learn more about what's going on in New York City. So take the opportunity when you're looking at the city and ways to experience it, to reach out to our travel advisors. We have over 100 to 200 travel advisors throughout our footprint. So as you're looking to see the city or looking in that second quarter, take this opportunity to reach out to the AAA travel advisor in your area and ask them, you know, what's going on in New York City? Information is out there about COVID all over the place. And some of that information is easy to find. Some of it is truthful. Some of it's hard to recognize whether or not it is truthful. But we encourage you to find that information with our agents. Our agents have done a lot of work learning about the city of New York, what's going on, what's safe, what's open, what's not open. And as a traveler, you want to know that it's coming from a trusted source. And AAA being one of the most trusted sources in the travel industry, you know that when you reach out to us, that we're there to give you the right information. We also have many partnerships with some of the beautiful hotels in New York City that allow us to book some of the great locations. Our ability to put together vacations for both families and adventurers allows us to help you build the perfect experience for each traveler. You mentioned, you know, some of the beautiful museums, Chris, that you guys are talking about or working with. If you are interested in experiencing culture and history, New York City is filled with all of that stuff and all of those things. Let our team here at AAA do the research for you and find those best experiences for you. If you're an adventurer, there's so much opportunity in Central Park to experience adventure. Go bike riding, spend some time outdoors. If you're a family, there's so much opportunity within the museums and the attractions that New York City has to offer that we have the ability to bring to you. But if you're just going there for a day trip, the membership that you have with AAA allows you to experience the city more for less cost. Whether it's attraction tickets, we had mentioned the tickets at some of the attractions that you have, Chris. Whether it's dining out in the city, a lot of the restaurants are adapting to this new way of eating out. You know, a lot of these hotels have invested in heaters, so as the weather starts to cool down, these heaters outside are keeping the diners warm. Your membership right there with AAA allows you to kind of experience that restaurant and might allow you to even save money while you're dining out. When the shows start to come back, the Broadway tickets, we know that the shows are closed now, but when the shows start to come back and the sports start to welcome fans back into the Madison Square Garden, starts to welcome fans back into the stadiums, your AAA membership allows you to save money at those attractions, at those shows, through all of our strategic partnerships. And when you're out shopping, I mean, I myself am not a huge shopping fan, but you know, there are a lot of people out there that are, my wife among them.
Mine too.
But your membership allows you to save money while you're shopping as well. So from the travel side of things, if you're outside of the city, looking to spend a few beautiful nights, you know, with your family or on your own or with your significant other, the membership and our agents are there to help you book and find ways that you can experience the city through the hotels and the beautiful attractions. If you are in New York City or in the surrounding area and you want to spend the day or spend the night, our membership allows you to save on those benefits, the dining, the shopping, the shows and the sports. So the membership is there for those that are able to visit today, those that are able to visit tomorrow, and those that are able to visit in the future. And I want you to just want to say thank you again for letting me talk about this beautiful city, one of the, if not the greatest city in the world, in my opinion. I try to make it there as often as I can. I'm here in Rhode Island, so I'm not welcome there now, but you know, I'm planning my next vacation as soon as I can. But we know it's one of the greatest cities in the world. You know, I know, Chris, that you're looking forward to welcoming travelers back and welcoming people back as the city starts to open up. And I know that we here at AAA, through all of our partners, are really excited about getting those travelers back there when the timing is right. And until that happens, we appreciate our partnership with New York City, you coming here, talking to our members and getting us inspired about, you know, what New York City has to offer and what we can look forward to experiencing the next time we can visit. So thank you so much, Chris. Thank you, Robert, for having us. And if there are any questions or anything that we can answer, I'm more than happy to stick around and answer some questions.
Michael, thank you so very much. Really appreciate it. And everyone probably knows that AAA stands for the American Automobile Association. And the automobile is the go-to means of transit these days, overwhelmingly, with medical personnel saying that it's the safest way to go. And certainly we remain the go-to organization to help you with that trip, to planning it, to booking it for you, to helping you when you get to your destination, helping you along the way if unfortunately something should happen to your vehicle. We remain there as the American Automobile Association, as a travel organization, to help you with all these things. We're a financial institution. We'll help you buy that new car right now if you need one. Now's a great time to buy a car. But you know, recently there was a survey that said that 64% of New Yorkers responded that they remain optimistic about New York City and it coming back, and they're being a part of it and making good things happen and living their lives here and enjoying life here. So we should keep that in mind. New York is not going anywhere. It's going to be here when this pandemic is over with. And you know, I think back to a family I met, the Creditors. They got married in 1955. Their 50th anniversary was 2005, and their daughter contacted me to help celebrate their anniversary because their honeymoon was a road trip from New York to Mexico, where they used a triptych and along the way stopped at lots of hotels and what have you, using their AAA membership. And we celebrated that event, that 50th anniversary with them back in 2005. And it was a great event. And they told me that even then, and probably until now, that when they're on the road, they go and they use their AAA membership there. This is like the penultimate road trip couple. I mean, from a honeymoon to Mexico in 1955 from New York City. That's a lot of commitment to a road trip. And they just really were the embodiment of what it means to be a AAA member and all the things that you can do to take advantage of that. And I would recommend to those that are watching that no matter where you might go, hotel, attraction, museum, what have you, you've got that AAA membership, that you show that card and see what happens. I remember when I was dating my wife, we were in Lower Manhattan and we went to the Skyscraper Museum and I showed my AAA membership card. I got a 10% discount. Went to the Holocaust Museum, showed my card, we got a discount. We went to so many different places and showing that card got discounts, and the strength in numbers. We've got more than 60 million members now, and the #2 membership organization in the United States. Only the Catholic Church is larger, and there's strength in numbers, and hotels, attractions, various entities recognize that strength of the AAA membership, and they will really extend themselves for you if you're a AAA member. You know, Chris, you mentioned hotels and how they are the cleanest place, probably beside the subway right now. My money is more in the hotels. But, you know, they're doing a great job with the subways. Are they still closing the subways overnight to do the deep cleaning?
Yeah, they are. And I believe they close around 1 o'clock, if my memory serves me correctly, 1 to 5. But they close about 4 or 5 hours a night to do that deep cleaning. But even then, if you're riding it during the day, you'll see it's looks like it's just been wiped down every time the doors open. But so it does get you to so many different places when you are in the city. And there's also a great bus system that will take you all around the destination. We also have bikes. The city bikes are really everywhere and they're ubiquitous in the city. And then the NYC ferry system is also a great option if you're navigating the 5 boroughs. There's so many new routes that have opened, and it's a great option to use and be socially distant and be outdoors. And that's been a huge boom for New York City.
Yes, and there's lots of bike lanes now for those out-of-towners that might be coming to us and want to experience the city bike system. And as I mentioned earlier, the lots of bridges that allow pedestrians, just really unique, I think, to our city, that you can stroll across a major structure, a piece of infrastructure, a bridge like we have in our area, and it's just spectacular. Do that on a city bike and you can have a great time. And you know, on the subject of hotels, Chris, we have something called the Best of Housekeeping system, where it is a level over and above the measurement of cleanliness that we do with our diamond rating system. And 5 diamonds is the maximum rating that we have for hotels, and those ratings are for like really spectacular places, the Mandarin and you know, the super luxury hotels. But that Best of Housekeeping badge is being given to those that are showing an even higher level of cleanliness. And so would recommend to those that might be looking to book a hotel that they look for that diamond rating, or they look for that Best of Housekeeping badge, so that they can be assured of getting a very clean environment. And we know from hotels, particularly Marriott, one of our partners, that they are doing just a whole extra level of cleaning these days, that in many cases the rooms might look a bit sparse because they're removing a lot of contact points, end tables and pillows and all those sort of things to cut down on the possibility of transmitting the virus. They're cleaning the escalators and the elevators very thoroughly and often. Electrostatic sprayers. Very often, if there was a buffet, it might have been eliminated, or if it is there, the food is coming prepackaged, or if it is being served, there's one person there that is masked and gloved and acting as a server. They're really going to great lengths to help maintain cleanliness. So anyone that's planning to make a trip to New York City, they should realize that all these things are going on, and that at AAA, we're working hard to make things safe for you and working with our partners to help make that happen. As far as the question,
yes. I want to mention again the hotel rates. If you're looking for a bargain, you're really going to likely find one now. And even in the luxury hotels, you're probably going to get rates that you haven't seen before. So now is the time to take advantage, and probably the service levels are going to be better too. And you know, these workers are just eager to welcome people. But it's a great way to show your support for New York, is not only do a staycation, but make a night of it. As Michael said, thank you for calling that out, Michael. We appreciate it. Make a night of it, because do a date night. We are seeing a lot of people celebrate an anniversary or do something romantic, you know, just to get into the city, get out of this whole, you know, we're sort of in this COVID mode. And so just getting out for the weekend, and, you know, for one overnight even, we'll do it. So it will be so helpful. And so we just want to encourage that. And the hotels are opening, like I said, on a sliding scale. Some of them are not open yet. So just check the websites before you decide on a particular property, because some of them have reopened, but more are to come. We're going to see more opening later this fall and then into the new year.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that, because, well, a couple of reasons. We know it's very popular with our members that they would do just that, a night or two at a super luxury hotel, go and have dinner and do other things in the city, and then retire to the hotel for a night or two. And like you say, the rates are even better now. And in fact, at one of our 5 Diamond Awards luncheon, I mentioned to the then manager of the Mandarin Oriental Hotel, a gentleman by the name of Israel Ben-Yair, just a wonderful guy. I mentioned that I never got to take my wife on a honeymoon. I get choked up thinking about it. The darn hurricane hit the day we were supposed to take a cruise. What was the hurricane? Superstorm Sandy, October 29, 2012. So that's something I'm going to do. Oh, sorry. I have to take my wife and do something like that. So I'm going to take advantage of all those things you have on your website. I'm sorry, honey, I didn't take my honeymoon. So, and I had a question from my wife about shopping. She loves to go shopping. We go shopping together. And what's being done in the stores, the department stores, to make sure that they're staying safe? We know many of them are open, if not all of them. And just wondering off the top of your head, Chris, what you've heard as far as the department stores are doing.
Well, I know social distancing will be key, and just the way that you're accessing the changing rooms, and if you're trying on clothing, there's protocols in place in terms of how to protect future people that are coming in. So there may be a cleanliness thing that goes on standard for clothing, and just different protocols. I mean, it's not going to be the same setup in the department stores where you go in and probably get your makeup or your makeover done right there. I mean, they're taking precautions, but they are open. They really do need the business, but they're doing it in a responsible way. Everyone's masked up. They're socially distancing, and any contact, like you were saying, the contact, they're trying to cut down on that sort of thing, especially as people try on clothing and stuff. And so there may be some protocols around those, what they do with clothes that are tried on before someone else tries the same garment on. But the department stores are all open. Nordstrom is incredible. They have a great exhibit right in the department store. Macy's is open in Herald Square. In fact, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, I should have mentioned, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is going to be broadcast, and it will be actually centered around the Herald Square store. There won't be an actual parade like the way we know it in years past, but they still will be putting on a version of the parade this year, of the event. And same thing, by the way, with the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center. That will be lit on December 2nd, and the ball will be dropped on December 31st. So it will be a virtual thing, but people can still engage. But getting back to the department stores, Macy's, Bloomingdale's, Saks, Fifth Avenue, Bergdorf Goodman, and Nordstrom, and also the small businesses, the boutiques. Also Madison Avenue, if you're into luxury shopping, Madison Avenue is doing a whole bunch of things on that avenue too, and you should try to support them. But you know, everyone is on Amazon right now booking their buying retail, and really it's not the same. You really want to have that experience and the bragging rights of, I got that in New York. So it's a different experience, and that's what I want to emphasize. It's a very different experience coming into New York and shopping and seeing what you're getting versus just going on Amazon or, you know, online and just clicking buy. So that's what we want to spotlight, is the experience of it all.
it's still there, and people should realize that they're going through great means to help maintain your protection while you're there shopping. My wife and I were shopping for eyeglasses last week, and every pair that we tried on, we had to put them into a bin, and they immediately put them into a machine that sterilized them. So it's happening. New York is there, and we should take advantage of it. I see, according to the clock on the wall, we've reached the end of our time limit. Michael, was there any closing thoughts that you wanted to share with us?
No, I just want to say, thank you for having me here, Chris. Thank you for your time, and those that are on the webinar, those that are interested in visiting New York City, we have a whole team standing by. We're there when, what happened, you have that question, what happens when, what happens when I plan my vacation, then all of a sudden someone gets sick, or, things change with COVID. Our agents are there to kind of help you with your booking, and we're working with our hotel partners that, people are afraid. We want to see what happens with all of this COVID outbreak. We're working with our partners to make sure that any cancellation policies, thing that you put in place where, I want to be able to cancel up until 2 days or 1 day before I leave without penalty. We're working with our partners and strategic partners on our end to make sure that the ability for our travelers to do that, so that way they can still plan and still get excited about visiting the beautiful city without fear of them losing or having any penalty like that when they have to, if they have to cancel, they invoke penalties. So we're there every step of the way. Again, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you having us on the strategic partnership side, and anybody who's interested in visiting the city, AAA is here to get you there and get you home.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And folks should realize that they could call up a AAA travel agent, getting all sorts of information. Chris, I became acquainted with you by seeing you on a story on Channel 2, and you were just so eloquent, and I thought, well, this guy is going to be good. And you really delivered the goods. Your knowledge is consummate, and you're the perfect person to be spreading the word about New York City, not only across the city, across the country, but across the world. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Michael, for being on as well. And I really appreciate the invitation and the chance to speak to your audience. And we just really appreciate the support, and we look forward to collaborating in the future. And thank you to everyone on this call for your time and your commitment and your energy. We really appreciate it, and we hope we'll see you on the streets of New York City sometime soon.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Chris. And my little dog Peanut came in, so I know it's time to end, right, Peanut? So,
oh, awesome. Hey, New York is dog friendly too, Robert. Bring your dog.
That's right. That's right. Yes, indeed. Dog friendly, especially eating outdoors. We've done it a lot. So we thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much, Michael. And we thank you for visiting and tuning in today. And we'll see you next time. Thank you very much. And we'll see you on the next AAA webinar. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.